Well, surprisingly, it doesn't come from sitting in your office and looking at your four walls. You got to go out and talk to customers, right? You got to understand what is their reality. This is the qualitative side of it, is to actually go and ask them. And a lot of times customers will be real candid with you. They'll say, here's what we did and why we did it, right? And you talk to enough of them, you'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see things that are meaningful. And for example, if you say, well, you guys decided to cancel your agreement. Why was that? Well, because of this. Okay, X, whatever X is. And then you talk to other customers and you ask them, well, why did you renew your agreement? And they say, well, because of X. Well, okay, so when we have X, they renew. When we don't have X, then they cancel, right? Well, X must be really important. So a lot of this is just kind of understanding first from the customer's perspective what matters to them and why. And then it's not just the offering, but the experience too, right? I mean, when we make decisions, it's not just about the thing that we bought, but the experience that goes along with it. And would we make that same decision again? So when we start asking about that, customers will give us great clues. And then from those, we can start to understand, well, okay, is there a pattern here? Let's look upstream in our process. What might be predictive of that reason that they're giving us? Now, they're not always one-to-one, because when you ask customers, why did you decide that? They're not going to tell you the cause of their decision. They're going to tell you the justification for their decision. And that's a very different thing, right? So, I got a story. I had to work with a client about a year ago or so. And, they had a churn problem. They asked me to come and take a look at it. I looked at all their data, was able to give them some insights from that, but there was no smoking gun here. It wasn't in the data set that they gave me. And I had to go and convince the CEO, let me go talk to your customers. And he says, no, I've been in this business 20 years. I know, just tell me, ask me your questions. I'll tell you what the answer is. And as we were around in circles, and I finally got him to agree, okay, go ahead and go talk to my customers. So I went out and talked to 20 of them, those, 10 that renewed, 10 that quit. And one thing that came out right away was that the CEO was wrong about his customers. He had two very distinctively different segments that were in his customer base. And for one, it was a great fit. His offering was, they loved it. They couldn't get enough of it. For the other, it was a complete misfit. It was just wrong. I mean, there was an assumption about what it could do. It was just really, really wrong. So his churn was about twice what he expected, and that was the reason why. They were about in the same proportion. So they weren't even this wasn't even part of their data. They didn't have anything in their data set that separated out this segment and that segment. They had no identifiers. So you couldn't see it in the numbers. You had to go talk to customers. And when you did, it's like, holy cow, there it is. This is not a fit for them. That's why they're churning. So you can't, qualitative and quantitative kind of go hand in hand. The quantitative tells you what, the qualitative tells you why.